Okay, in this tutorial, we are going to grade a parking lot. Now, although this is just a parking lot, you could use these same concepts and tools that we're going to use in this tutorial to grade any other feature that you have on your site. So the first thing we want to do is we want to open up our finished grade drawing, which if you don't have a template for this, I'll leave it in the description so you could download mine. But so I have my finished grades all started. So what we need to do is we need to get the base map xref'd in. So we're going to go to our xref manager and we're going to go to our project folder and xref in our base map. Okay. Now we want to get the line work from our layout for everything that we're going to be grading. So I'm going to go to my layout drawing, select the parking lot and right click, clipboard and copy with base point. Then go ahead and type in 00, clipboard, and for control V, 0, 0. Okay, so we got our parking lot referenced in. We have our base map. Now what we need is our existing grade. For that, we go to our tool space manager. We make sure that our working folder is set to what we need, which ours is. If you didn't know how to do that though, you right click it and set working folder. And then what you want to do is you want to just select the root folder, which is for mine, it's parking lot tutorial. Select folder. And now if you expand surfaces, you'll see your existing grade there. So we're going to right click it and create reference. The style we're going to be using is existing contours 1 and 5. So go ahead and click OK. All right. So now we have our layout, our base map, and our existing grade all in the drawing. So now we're ready to go. So let's go ahead and use the annotate and label these contours so we know which way the water is going as it exists. Oops, wrong one. Annotate, drop down feature to surface. Label type is going to be contour multiple, existing major, existing minor. Then go ahead and click add. There is only one surface in this drawing, so it automatically will start to label it. If you had multiple surfaces, you could either press enter to select them, or it would give you a selection cube to pick whatever surface you wanted to label. But again, there's only one in this drawing, so it's automatically going to label it. So we're just going to go diagonally across, and we're going to see, okay, we got a high over here, low here. So I'm going to grade this parking lot from high over here to low over there. Okay, so the easiest way to do this would be to create a rough grade just for your grading scheme and work from there. So what I want to do is I want to draw a rectangle that encompasses the entire parking lot. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in UCS, and then I'm going to select this point and this point. Okay, and then I'm going to draw a rectangle. Okay, and we're going to let this go beyond it. We'll bring this up, bring this up. This is just going to be a surface that we get elevations from, so you don't have to worry about it being too precise here. Expand this a little bit. Okay, so we're at, what contour is this? This is 115. So let's make this line into a feature line. Now, the first option you're going to have is a site. Now, site's not like your job site or this project site. Site is how feature lines interact with each other. So if two feature lines are in the same site and they cross each other. Whichever feature line is drawn second, the elevation of that feature line supersedes the first feature line. So if you had your first feature line at elevation 115 and you cross it with a feature line at elevation 114, that 115 feature line where it intersects would actually drop down to 114 and meet the second feature line that was drawn. If they're in different sites, they don't do anything to each other. They are completely separate. But if they're on the same site, they interact. And again, the second feature line drawn will supersede the first drawn. So we can leave this in site one. We want to erase the existing entity. We want to assign elevations and hit OK. We want to make this, we'll say 115.5, just because I wanted everything to pitch into my parking lot, but anything not my parking lot can shed away. So we'll make it a little bit higher than the existing grade. So 115.5. Okay, and down here we're at an elevation about 112. So let's make this 111.5. And then what I want to check is I want to check what my grade is with those elevations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here in the Edit Elevations menu, and I'm going to use a quick elevation edit. And I'm going to see that that actually is a minus 1.2% slope, which for a parking lot is great. A 1%, 2% slope in a parking lot is perfect. You could go as low as 0.5 in a parking lot if you have to, or as high as about 5. Anything beyond 5, that's when you start getting to a situation where if you park, your car door opens and closes by itself because of the grade. So you really want to stay within 1 to 5% range. In ADA over here, where we have our ADA stalls, you could have a maximum of 1.5% slope. So a 1.2% cross slope on this parking lot is perfect. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to bring this line to here and also to here so I could create a surface out of it. So what the command I'm going to use is called stepped offset, and that's going to be located within the edit geometry section. So make sure you have this feature line selected. And then we're going to go ahead and select stepped offset. Distance, we're going to select through, or you could press T and enter, either one. We're going to select this endpoint, and it says specify elevation difference. We don't want any difference, so it's going to be 0 and enter. And then we're going to do it again to this point, and we're going to do 0 and enter. Okay. So now these three feature lines, what we're going to do is we're going to add them to a rough grade surface, and we're going to use that rough grade surface to get our parking lot elevations from. Okay. So once we have all three selected, we can right click and select add to surface as brake line. We don't have the surface created yet, so we're going to go ahead and select the plus sign. We're going to name it rough grade. And the style will go propose 1 and 5, just to see what it looks like after we create the surface. Okay. All right, so supplementing factors. The mid-ordinate distance is how often it triangulates around a radius. So the smaller this number is, the more curved a curve is, and the bigger the number is, the more it looks like a triangle. Eventually, you'll just get 3 points on around the curve, which is the midpoint, the point of curvature, and the point of tangency, and you'll just get a triangle. So the smaller this number is, the more of a curved radius you're going to get around feature lines, and also with your contours too. It's the same thing. And the distance is, this is how many times it interpolates along the line. So every 20 feet is fine for a parking lot. So if we could keep this at 20, this at 0.05 is fine, and select OK. All right, so now we have our general grading scheme, our rough grade of how we want this parking lot to grade. So now we want to get our curb elevations from this rough grade. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take this orange line. Now, this orange line represents both our face of curb and our bottom of curb. Okay. And the cyan line is the top of curb or the back of curb. So the curb that we're going to be doing is your typical concrete curb, which is a 6-inch reveal. But you could do whatever you want. If you have, let's say, a Belgian block curb, typically those would have a 4-inch reveal. The process would be the same, but you just want to make sure you account for that reveal that you want. So we're going to take the orange line or bottom and face of curb line, and we're going to turn this into a feature line. So once we have the polyline selected, we're going to go up to the feature line drop down, click it, and then we're going to go ahead and select create feature lines from objects. Okay, we can leave this in site 1. Actually, you know what? We're going to create a different site. This way it doesn't interact with this original rough grade line at all. So we're going to select a new, and we'll make this site called parking lot. Hit OK. The layer is fine. We want to erase the existing entity, and we also want to assign elevations. So hit OK. Now, the assign elevations we want to assign from our surface, and we're going to assign it from the rough grade that we just created. We don't need to insert intermediate grade breakpoints. You really only need that when you're making a feature line at the existing grade, like your tie-in line. Then you want to make sure that that line is like draped over the existing surface perfectly. And by toggling this, that's what you're going to do. It's going to add a lot of vertices at every single breakpoint along that line. For this case, we don't want that. So we uncheck that. And we want to be able to manipulate these elevations later. So we don't want to set it relative to the surface either. Otherwise, no matter what, you can't change those on the feature line. They would have to be changed by the surface, and that's not what we want. So uncheck these two, select rough grade, and hit OK. So now, if you were to use the quick elevation edit and go along this line, you could see this line now has elevations. Okay. So now we got our rough grading scheme done. We got our face and bottom of curb line. We have all the elevations. Now what we want to do is we kind of want to work at this entrance now, because again, this has to tie in at the existing grade. So we can't necessarily have our rough grade elevation at this point. So what we do is we go up here under the edit elevations and we use the quick elevation edit. We select this line, and now we want to get that elevation from a surface. And then we're going to select the surface. And instead of rough grade, we're going to go to existing and hit OK and OK. And now we want to do it to this other point too. This way, both curves are meeting back at the existing grade. So quick elevation edit again, select this point. We're going to select surface, make sure existing is selected and hit OK and enter. Okay. So now one more thing you want to make sure at the entrance is you want to make sure that the entrance is back pitched towards the road. You don't want any water that may be going along this flow line here along the curb. You don't want any of that water to be entering your site. Otherwise, your drainage system's just going to be overwhelmed. So you always want to make sure that you're grading up at the entrance. So we're going to use the same command to do that, which is the quick elevation edit, except instead of going to a point, we're going to go along the line, which let's make sure we got the right site. We're going to select it from a list. Okay, it's on none. What you want it to be on is parking lot. Hit OK. And now when we select this line, we should be able to, okay, usually there's a grade arrow on the radius. I'm not sure why it's not, but what we could do instead, since that's not working, is set grade between points and go from here to here. And it's right now it's at pretty much -1. So let's go up at a 2% slope. Nothing crazy. And we're going to do the same thing over here, up at a 2% slope. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to turn off the rough grade and I want to start working with our finished grade. So we're going to go to our tool space manager. We're going to go ahead and drop down the surfaces, right click on rough grade and change the rough grade style to no display. Hit apply and OK. Now we don't have to see that anymore. What I want to do is I want to now add this curb line to the finish grade and see what it looks like when we add it. So we're going to select that, right click, and then select Add to Surface as Break Line. The finish grade surface you can see is not created yet, so we're going to hit the plus sign and we'll create it right now. So under the name, we'll type in finish grade. And the style can be proposed contours 1 and 5, and hit OK. Hit OK again. Distance and mid-ordinate distance is OK. Hit OK. All right, so now this is what our finished grade surface is looking like, which is nice. Now I just want to make sure there's no ponding in this area. So let's see 113.3. Okay, so the water's going this way. It is going around this curb line and around. So everything looks great here. I think that's going to work well. So now we have the inside of our parking lot all graded. We know we're going to have to put a catch basin here. This is our low point. Everything's shedding this way. Um, so we got our bottom of curb. The next thing we want to do is we want to get our top of curb. So the way we do that is quite easy. We're going to select this bottom of curb feature line. We're going to go up to the, excuse me, the edit geometry section, and we're going to select stepped offset. Now it's going to ask you a distance. Now the curb width is 6 inches in this case. So we're going to type in 0.5 and enter. And the side we want to offset to is the inside. And now it asks you for an elevation distance or difference rather. The difference is 0.5. The backup curb is going to be 6 inches higher than the bottom or face of curb. You could do this with grade, slope as well if you wanted to do something a little bit different. For this situation, we want an elevation difference though. So we're going to type in 0.5 and press enter. Okay. So now this line represents our top of curb. And if you wanted to just double check, you can do the quick elevation edit. And you can see here is 113.364. So the top of curb should be 113.864. And it is right on the money. So you know that's a quick check to make sure that your stepped offset actually worked. So once we have that top of curb, we can go ahead and add to surface as a break line, select our finish grade, and click OK. These two settings are fine still. Once you change this once, it holds it throughout the rest of the time. So you don't have to worry about changing this every feature line. It'll change it in this drawing, and anything else you do after will still have the 20%, 20 feet for the distance and 0.05 for the mid ordinate. Okay, so now we got our top of curb, our bottom of curb. And if you want to take a look, you can actually select the surface, right click and go to Object Viewer. And you can look at your surface and you can see that we do in fact have a well-defined 6-inch reveal curb around the entire parking lot. So that's just a nice check to make sure everything is triangulating correctly and everything looks right. Okay, so we have our curb. Now what we want to do is we want to do our sidewalk. Now to do the sidewalk, what I would recommend using is a grading object. Okay, so to use a grading object, what we're going to do is use this feature line. And from this feature line, we're going to grade out 5 feet for our edge of sidewalk. And we're going to grade up at a 1.5% grade. Now, a 1.5 cross slope on a sidewalk is the most you can have in design for an ADA compliant walkway. So we're going to be at 1.5 using a grading object. So the command we want to go to is in the create design menu. And we're going to click grading. And then we're going to select grading creation tools. All right, so the grading group is the first one. We're just going to work from left to right, selecting everything. So the grading group, we could keep it in parking lot, so that's fine. We can call this sidewalk for the grading group. We do want to create a surface, but we just want to set it to no display as a style. Tessellation angle, we could go 0.5. Tessellation spacing, that's 10, that's fine. Hit OK. OK. The surface, it really doesn't make a difference in this instance because we're not grading to a surface, we're grading to a distance. But if you were to grade to a surface, you'd want to make sure that you select the right one. But we'll just go to existing. It doesn't really matter in this situation. The layer, C topograd is fine. You can set it to whatever you'd like. And this is where I was talking about. You can actually grade to a surface. You could grade to a specific elevation. So there's different options. You can make your own up. Like I made a curve one. You could do whatever you want with these. There's a lot of customization you could do. So the next thing we want to do is we want to actually create this grading. So we're going to go to the little triangle with the sun, click it, and we're going to select this feature line. Select the grading side. We're going to grade to the outside of the feature line. Entire length, no. We want to start from here, hit enter. And then we want to go to here, enter. Distance is going to be 5. And the grade is going to be up at a 1.5%. Again, that's the maximum cross slope for an ADA compliant ramp, sidewalk, sorry. Okay, so now you can see that it added a grading object, which is a little diamond. That's what designates that it is a grading. And now we have this. So let's go ahead and do this sidewalk along this curve line. So we're going to do this command one more time, create grading. Select the same feature line. We're going to go to this side. Now we're going to start from here. Click enter. We're going to go to this side. Enter. Again, we're going to go out 5 feet. And we're going to use a grade of 1.5. Hit OK. Escape. And there you go. So now what we want to do is we want to make sure that this now grading for the sidewalk is part of our finished grade. So to do that, we're going to go ahead to the Tool Space Manager. And we're going to expand the finished grade surface by hitting the plus arrow. Then expand definition. And we're going to go ahead and right click on edits. And then select paste surface. And select our sidewalk surface and hit OK. Now you can see that our sidewalk has been added over here. You can tell. And again, a good check, you could always select the surface by right-clicking it, going to Object Viewer, and you can see now we have our curb, and we have a nice 5-foot wide sidewalk at a perfect 1.5% grade. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to finish off this sidewalk as it wraps around the parking lot. So I'm just going to use the polyline command. Draw a polyline from here to here, here to here. Select both polylines that I just drew. We're going to go ahead and drop down feature line and select create feature lines from objects. We do want to assign the elevations and erase the existing entities. I want to get the elevations from finished grade. I don't want to select these two, so just click OK. And now when you select the feature line, what I like to do is just like to see what the grades are doing. This is flat, which you really don't want. So this is 2.41. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grade from here to here. And I'm just going to make it a consistent grade. So now when we check out, it's at a basically 0.7% grade. So it's going around here, and then it'll go down into the parking lot. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same exact thing with this feature line. So again, we're going to select set grade between points, between this point and this point. Hit enter. Now that these grades are set, we're going to go ahead and select both these feature lines, right click, and select add to surfaces break line. And the surface you want to add it to is finished grade. And hit OK. Again, so now just to show you that we do have all this added now, go to the object viewer. And there we go. Now you can see that we have our sidewalk that wraps around. The entrance is done. Now what I want to do is I want to work on this handicap ramp. So basically we have 2 handicap stalls next to each other. Um, so what I did was I just added a line here and here that delineates a dropped curb. And then this line and this line delineate the top of the ramp. So this is all going to be a drop curb in between here with a ramp going up this way and a ramp going up this way. So to do that, I'm going to create a sidewalk surface. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, well, I already have the lines here, but I want to take these 4 lines, right? And I want to add a vertice at the back of curb. So I'm going to select the polyline, add vertex, go to apparent intersect, do that for each of these lines. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to select each of these lines now, and I'm going to make them feature lines. So I'm going to feature line, create feature lines from objects, assign elevations, and I want to grab those elevations from finish grade. Okay. So now I'm going to take these 4 lines and I'm going to add this to a sidewalk surface. So add to surface as break line. I'm going to create a surface and I'm going to call this handicap ramp. And if you had multiple, say you had like 3 or 4, we could call this handicap ramp east. So you could designate which one's what. And we're just going to do a border only on this. Okay, and okay, and okay. So now this is our surface. Just want to go to an object viewer and you can see right now this is just flat. There is no drop curb, right? So what I want to do is I want to grade from this point and go straight across to the back and type in D for difference. Hit OK. I want to do that over here too, because what that's going to do is that's going to get rid of this 6-inch jump in elevation. And it's just going to have a constant grade from the face of curb to the back of sidewalk. Okay. So now when we look at this sidewalk and we go to object viewer, you'll see now the sidewalk just dropped down here and dropped down here. Okay. Then another thing is we have a curb here. A curb is going to fill in the behind the back of sidewalk because this is going to be flat here. So we'll have a curb right behind it. So what I want to do is the polyline from here to here. I'm going to create a feature line. Create feature lines from objects, assign elevations, and we'll just go from finish grade and hit OK. And what I want to do here though is, hold on. I also want to create a feature line from these elevations because I'm going to use a command to set my elevations using this feature line. So we're going to select feature line, create feature line from objects. We want to make sure erase existing entities is on and assign elevations. We're going to grab our elevations from finished grade. Okay. So we're going to select this feature line that we just created. And we're going to do a command called adjacent elevations by reference. We're going to select this line. And it's going to say specify elevation difference. We don't want any difference. We just want it to be 0. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to grade from this point to this point. And we're just going to type D for difference, enter, hit OK. And we're going to add this to our handicap ramp east, hit OK. And now I want to go ahead and look at this surface, object viewer. So now you can see that this back of curb, it has a curb here. Something funky going on right here though. So on this surface style, what I want to do is I want to edit the display style and I want to turn on triangles and points. And I want to see what's going on here. There seems to be a little something screwy here. So let's see, let's add this feature line to our handicap ramp east as well. Now let's go to our, okay, so it seems like right here is not triangulating, so let's do this. Let's select this. We're going to go up to edit surface and we're going to add a line. We're going to add a line from here to here. Um, hmm, let's try swapping an edge maybe. There it is. Okay, now it's triangulating correctly. Sometimes it's a matter of swapping edges to get things to look right. So now when we go to Object Viewer, let's see what we get. All right, perfect. You could tell that there is now a drop curb right here. We have a curb that is behind the sidewalk, behind the ramp, and then it ramps up here and ramps up to here. So now I'm going to change this style in the surface properties. I'm going to do no display. Hit OK. And now we can add that surface that we just created for the handicap ramp. We could go ahead and add that to our finished grade. So to do that, we're going to expand finished grade by hitting the plus sign, expand definition, and then we are going to right click on edits and paste surface. And the surface that we're going to paste is the handicap ramp east. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do our object viewer, and it should now show, which it does, the drop curve. So now you can see we have our ADA compliant ramps going up. We have a curb behind it perfectly. Okay. So now the last thing we need to do is grade to existing. So what I did here is I just created a polyline bordering the parking lot. And what I want to do is I want to set the elevations of this feature line to the existing grade. And I want to drape this feature line right on top of the existing grade perfectly. So to do that, we're going to go to feature line, create feature line from objects, select this line right here, right click, enter. We want to erase the existing entities, assign elevations. But now what we want to do is we want to go from surface, select existing, but now we're going to use insert intermediate grade breakpoints, and we're also going to make this relative to the surface with a difference of 0. So this is perfectly flat with the existing grade. We're going to hit OK. Now you'll see that it added a ton of vertices all along this line. So everywhere there's a change in grade, it added a vertex, and now this is draped over the existing grade perfectly. So we can take this, we can right click, add to surfaces break line, and select finish grade, and hit OK, and OK. And there you go. Now these surface grades back. Now, some of these contours are not the best looking thing in the world. So what we can do is we go to our layers and we go to C Topo Contour User, make active. And then to kind of smooth this out a little bit, you can just make a polyline from here, to here. Now, the way this works is if you have a polyline, you draw it and you snap to a known elevation, like right on a contour of 113 here and here. When you go to the properties of that polyline, you'll see that your elevation is right at 113. Okay, so if you want to add some contour data like this to your surface, have the contour selected, go to your tool space manager, right? And under finish grade and under the definition, you're going to right click on contours and you're going to add it. And again, you just want to select filling gaps in contour data and swapping edges, and then unselect the bottom two. The mid-ordinate distance, again, that's how many times it interpolates going around a radius. So the smaller you make this, the more curved the radius will be, whereas the greater you make it, the more of a triangle that radius is going to look, where it gives you, just interpolates at the point of curvature, the midpoint, and the point of tangency. So it's just good to take this, keep it small, and this, we could go ahead and set it to 20 like typical, and hit OK. And you'll see that polyline kind of got made that contour a little bit better. You're going to do things like that around here too. This is a little odd because of where it intersects, that there's it kind of just a little funky, but it's okay. I would just fix this one over here. Just make one right here, go right to there. Maybe select these two. Again, go to Tool Space, right click on your contours, add. And now when we look at our finished grade surface and object viewer, we have our parking lot. So we got a parking lot with an ADA accessible ramp, sidewalk, 6-inch reveal curbs, and we got all our water coming down this way and a low point over here. So that's it. That's how you grade a parking lot. And again, a lot of these tools and these things that we just went through can be used to grade anything on your site, whether it be, you know, a building, a turf field, a baseball field, anything on a site. You could use these tools and these methods to grade your site. So hope this video helps you. Hope you learned something from it. And I'll see you on the next one.